Thank you so much for coming and just discussing a little bit about faith and giving today. So let's begin by you all telling me a little bit about yourselves and your connection to the church. Eli?
I'm Eli Freeman. I'm a sophomore in college. I've been coming to Faith Promise since I was in 3rd grade, so I've really grown up here. And my role right now is that I'm leading a small group for young adult men.
My name is Raven. I have been attending Faith Promise ever since 2018. I began attending after I was going through a divorce, and it was just my attempt to have a fresh start and to just rebuild my life. And I've been attending ever since, and I love it. And now I am a small group pastor for 6th grade girls.
So my name is Daniel Newton. This is my wife, Christy. We've been attending Faith Promise for 12 years now. We're very committed to the vision of the church.
What was the process for you when you first began thinking about giving at Faith Promise Church?
So Pastor Chris dared me, okay? When
that happens.
Yes. So when I first started to attend Faith Promise, the first service that I sat in on, he just talked about how we will always need more. There will never be a time where we don't need more. And so at the end of his sermon, he tied it into giving. And he goes, I challenge you to give your tithe for 90 days. And if you give your tithe in 90 days and you don't feel God move in your life, I'll give you your money back. And I was like, okay, it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
So I tried it out. Even when I didn't feel like I had it, even when I could think of something I could do more with the money, I gave, and I really felt God move throughout that time. And I feel like I have really seen the way that God can sustain you when you do give. And so now it's not an option. It's not something where I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can put it off. No, I'm past those 90 days. There's a no money back guarantee anymore. I'm bought in on it.
That's so good. What about you, Eli?
Well, for me, thankfully, growing up, I had some pretty good role models of what it looked like to give faithfully, and my grandparents and my parents. As a kid, they were always teaching me the importance of generosity, and I remember they would tell me that everything we have is provided by God. So whenever I turned 16 and I got my first job, that first paycheck that came through, I just started tithing just because I knew that's what I was supposed to do, and I've been tithing ever since.
I think for me anyway, I'm always trying to model for my kids, kind of do what your parents did for you, because it's contagious. Like when you start doing that, the feeling that you get from it is pretty amazing. So
Yeah, I think we would all agree. It feels so much better to be the person doing the giving than the receiving. And it's not a selfish feeling of like, I want to feel good for me, but it just happens to be a byproduct of like, if you are generous and give in whatever capacity that looks like, it feels good.
That's right.
Something that really made me a cheerful giver. I was already becoming a faithful giver after I invested those 90 days. But it was actually something that happened after I shared my giving story. There was a church member that was so moved by my giving story that she decided to give me $8,000, okay? She decided to give me $8,000 because in my giving story, I talked about how I really hope to one day be able to buy my girls a home. My girls and I had like a dance party in the middle of our house, and it was not because of the money. And that was really what shocked me, because that made me think to myself, God loves me so much that he can put me on the mind of a stranger.
That's right.
And he sees what I'm doing with what he's given me, and he's letting me know my word is true. You keep doing what I've asked you to do, and I'm going to keep taking care of the rest.
You know, Heart for the Harvest means so much for our church. What does Heart for the Harvest mean for you all?
Heart for the Harvest is really important to me. Last year was my first Heart for the Harvest where I really wanted to give intentionally and pray about what I wanted to give instead of just choosing something at random. Also, around last year at this time, I was really heavy into collecting shoes, and not just like $100 pairs of sneakers, but really expensive sneakers. And I just remember I was doing my quiet time one day, and I kind of felt led to sell my most expensive pair in my collection and give all that money for the Heart for the Harvest. I just remember thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know if God's really saying that. That's probably just me. And I was having all these doubts because I was trying to find an excuse for myself to be able to keep the shoes because I like them so much. But I remember I was driving to work a Saturday morning at 5:30 in the morning, so nobody else was out on the road. And I tested God, which I know you're not supposed to do, But I said, God, if you want me to give those shoes for a Heart for the Harvest, let a red truck come around that corner right now. 5:30 in the morning, nobody else is out on the roads, and I just see headlights come by me. I was like, no way, that's a red truck. And as it passes me, it was a red truck, and I was like, okay, God, I get it. You want me to give those shoes. And so as soon as I got off the clock, I went home, sold them on eBay, gave them, and I have no regrets about it.
So Heart for the Harvest for me, honestly, I remember when I first heard about it, I was pretty intimidated by it. I was hearing about all of the extravagant amounts of money that people had given and things like that. And I was like, I don't have a boat to give. I don't have $10,000 to give. Lord, what do you want to do with this that I have?
The first time that we heard Heart for the Harvest, I was a little intimidated. I'm like, this is huge, you know? And then he started talking about fasting, started talking about miracles and all this. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm at, but this is really big, you know?
Yeah.
And our daughter was actually going through something at the time, and we had tried everything. We had taken her to every doctor, everything. And I was at my wit's end. I'd never fasted before, ever. Didn't really understand the whole concept of it. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna try this out. You know what I mean? And it was probably week 2, and she was completely healed and is
Praise
still
God.
healed from that from this day. So
Praise God.
when I think about our first Heart for the Harvest, that's what I think about.
Wow.
You know, the mission of the church, we're here to win lost people. I mean, we live in a super dark world right now, and people need Jesus so much right now. Our church is positioning itself to reach lost people.
That's right.
And this is all just part of that.
It truly is a God-sized vision. Thank you so much for joining and discussing this with me today, and we look forward to Heart for the Harvest.